Have you ever seen a man with no direction in life, struggling, yet somehow finding the woman of his dreams? It doesn't happen often. Why? Because a man who hasn't worked on himself first is a man who settles. He settles for distractions. He settles for living a life that's just okay. He spends all his time chasing after things that won't bring him anywhere. But society tells you that if you're not in a relationship, you're failing. They want you to think that being alone means something's wrong with you, like you need someone by your side to feel complete. But let me tell you something. Being lost in a relationship is a bigger failure. There are many men who get caught up in a relationship and forget about their dreams. They spend years giving everything to someone, but when it ends, they realize they have nothing left. They didn't focus on themselves. They didn't build themselves up. They didn't chase their own greatness. Being single is not a weakness. It's a chance to focus on yourself. It's the time to build your life without distractions. People will tell you that you're missing out if you're not with someone. But what's worse? A man who's alone but is growing, focused, and working on his future? Or a man who's in a relationship that holds him back from becoming his best self? The truth is, most men don't know how to be alone. They think they need someone else to make them whole. But that need can make them weak, desperate, and willing to settle for something less than they deserve. A strong man sees his time alone as a chance to improve himself. No drama, no distractions, just time to focus. Time to make his mind sharper, his body stronger, and to create the life he wants. When you take away all the distractions, what's left? The real you. And if you're not happy with what you see in the mirror, no one else can fix that for you. Most men spend their youth chasing after relationships instead of chasing after their greatness. They put their energy into someone else instead of investing in themselves. But then, one day, they wake up and realize they have nothing for themselves. They spent all their time giving, but never building. And when it all falls apart, they find they have no purpose, no vision, and nothing solid to stand on. A real man doesn't need anyone's approval. He doesn't need a girlfriend just to prove something to the world. He walks his own path, and when the time is right, the right woman will see his value. But that only happens when he's taken the time to build himself first. So, don't waste this time feeling incomplete. Use it. Learn to be disciplined. Master your skills. Get better every day. Enjoy your own company. Because the man who can stand on his own is the man who will never settle. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell to support our growth. Many men waste their energy chasing after women, thinking that the more they chase, the more they win. But in reality, the more they chase, the more they lose. They lose time, they lose money, and most importantly, they lose their focus. Chasing someone who wasn't even the goal in the first place. Look around. How many men do you know who live paycheck to paycheck? Not because they're broke, but because they spend all their money trying to impress someone. How many men are tired? Not because they've been working on their goals, but because they've been constantly texting, calling, and trying to keep up with a woman who barely even respects them. The problem isn't relationships. The problem is priorities. A man who hasn't built anything for himself has no business making anyone else his priority. But that's exactly what most men do. They wake up thinking about how to get her attention, but never about how to improve themselves. They memorize her favorite color, but haven't read a single book in years. They spend all their money on expensive dates, but won't invest a dime in improving their own lives. And when the relationship ends, they're left lost because they didn't build themselves up. They built their lives around someone else. A man's focus should be his mission, his goals, his personal growth, and his future. Everything else comes second. When you spend your energy improving yourself, developing discipline, building skills, getting stronger, and becoming more valuable, you won't need to chase anyone. The right people will naturally be drawn to you. Think about the most successful and respected men in history. They weren't chasing relationships or trying to please anyone. They were focused on becoming the best versions of themselves. And because they were so committed to their own mission, people, including women, naturally gravitated toward them. When a man has purpose, when he's obsessed with his mission, he doesn't have time to chase after anyone. And ironically, that's when he becomes most attractive. Because nothing is more powerful than a man who knows exactly where he's going. But if you waste your energy chasing temporary distractions, you'll never have the strength to build something lasting. A man who spends his life chasing women will never have enough time to chase success. And the man who focuses on success, on building himself, on improving every day, he never has to chase anything else. Love should add to your life, not define it. A relationship isn't supposed to be your entire world. It should complement the life you're already creating. Too many men get it wrong. They think that finding the right woman will fix all their problems. They think that once they have a girlfriend, everything will fall into place. But that's not how it works. If you're unhappy, a relationship won't make you happy. If you're broke, a relationship won't make you rich. If you have no direction, a relationship won't give you purpose. Yet, men keep looking for love as if it's the missing puzzle piece, believing that love will magically turn them into the man they did not have the discipline to become on their own. The truth is, no woman wants to be your purpose. No woman wants to feel like she's responsible for making you feel whole. A real woman wants to walk beside a man who already has direction, a man who already knows who he is. She doesn't want to build you. She wants to join you on the journey you're already creating. But if you make a relationship your entire identity, you're setting yourself up for failure. What happens when she leaves? What happens when she gets bored? What happens when life pulls you apart? If your sense of self is entirely tied to that one person, you'll be left completely lost. That's why so many men fall apart after a breakup. They never had a solid foundation to begin with. They weren't building themselves. They were building their lives around someone else. A strong man builds his own world first. He works on his skills, his mindset, his finances, his discipline. He becomes complete on his own. Then, when the right woman comes along, she adds to his life. She doesn't become his life. Because love should be a bonus, not a blueprint. It should be something that enhances what you've already built, not something you depend on just to feel whole. A man who understands this will never fear being alone. He knows that he's already enough. And ironically, that's exactly the kind of man who attracts the right kind of woman. The kind who wants to walk beside a king, not carry a man who refuses to build his own kingdom. The world puts a lot of pressure on men to be in relationships. From the moment we understand romance, society tells us that being single means something's wrong with us. Movies, music, social media, all of them push the idea that happiness comes from finding the one, that if you don't have a girlfriend, you're incomplete. If you're alone, you must be lonely. But who decided that? Who decided that a man's worth is tied to whether or not he has someone by his side? Because the truth is, most of this pressure doesn't come from within, it comes from the outside. Family members asking when you'll settle down. Friends teasing you for being single. Society making it seem like every successful man has to have a woman next to him. And too many men fall for it. They rush into relationships, not because they truly want to, but because they feel like they have to. They think having a girlfriend will give them status or make them look like they have their life together. They force it. They get into relationships that don't match their goals, that distract them, that drain them, just to avoid being the guy who's still single. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Greatness is built in solitude. The strongest men in history didn't spend their time chasing relationships just to fit in. They were locked in, focused on their work. They knew that before they could share their life with anyone, they had to build something worth sharing. And they did it in silence, in their own time, at their own pace. If you let the world rush you into something that doesn't align with your mission, you'll end up sacrificing your goals, your dreams, and your purpose just to meet some imaginary deadline society created for you. But a real man doesn't let the world decide when he's ready. He moves at his own pace. He does not let outside voices push him into a relationship that does not fit his life. He focuses on becoming the man he's meant to be, and when the time is right, everything else will fall into place. A strong man doesn't chase after anything. He becomes so focused on his growth that the right things come to him. And when that happens, relationships will complement his life, not define it. A real man doesn't need anyone to complete him. He has a purpose, a mission, and that's where his focus lies. When he's committed to building himself, his body, his mind, his wealth, his character, he doesn't need to chase anyone. His energy is focused on growth, and that's when people are drawn to him. Women respect a man who knows where he's going. They want someone who's already walking his path, not someone who's lost and needs saving. The mistake many men make is thinking they need to impress women to win their affection. But the most attractive thing a man can do is stop trying so hard. Stop seeking approval. Stop overthinking every conversation. Stop making someone else the center of his world before he's even built his own. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you start becoming more desirable. A man who doesn't need anyone, who is focused on his growth, his legacy, his purpose. That's the kind of man who commands respect from the world, not just from women, but from everyone around him. And when you get to that point, everything you deserve will come to you. Your mission comes first. Without it, you're just drifting. You'll wake up without direction, without purpose, and you'll let life push you around. But a man with a mission steers his own ship. He knows where he's going, and he's in control. So, ask yourself, what kind of man do you want to be? The one who chases distractions, who lets society tell him he's nothing without a relationship, or the one who locks in, focuses up, and becomes so powerful that everything he wants naturally comes to him? It's time to stop chasing and start becoming. Focus on your mission first, and everything else will follow. As we come to the end of this powerful journey, it's time to reflect on the most important lessons we've learned together. Throughout this speech, we've seen that true growth comes from within. It's about focusing on yourself before seeking validation from anyone else. It's about building your life with purpose, learning to embrace solitude, and strengthening your emotional independence. The real takeaway here is that we must stop chasing distractions, whether it's seeking approval from others or running after empty relationships. True success and fulfillment come when we focus on our own mission. Every step you take toward building yourself, developing your skills, and strengthening your discipline brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. And as you grow, the right people and opportunities will naturally come your way. We've also learned that choosing the harder path, the one that requires self-growth, patience, and dedication, is the path that leads to the most rewarding outcomes. It's not always easy to be alone and focus on your goals. The pressure from society, friends, and family to settle down or get into a relationship can be overwhelming. But the real strength comes from having the courage to walk your own path, to trust your own journey, and to know that your worth is not tied to anyone else's expectations or timelines. As we step into the new year, let this be the time when you stop chasing distractions and instead focus on what truly matters: your growth, your discipline, and your purpose. Make 2026 the year where you stop waiting for someone else to define your worth and start focusing on building the person you have always wanted to be. That person is already within you. It's time to let him shine. This is the year where you start becoming the best version of yourself. Don't wait any longer. Take control now. You have everything inside you to succeed. Every goal you set, every discipline you form, every step you take toward becoming better will bring you closer to the life you desire. Happy New Year. May 2026 be the year of growth, strength, and transformation for you. This year, focus on building the future you've always dreamed of. No one else can define your worth. Only you can. It's time to rise, embrace your mission, and take action toward your own success. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to take that first step, I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support will help us grow and continue to share messages that inspire, motivate, and guide you on your journey. Together, let's make 2026 the year of incredible transformations. Subscribe now and join us as we walk this path of growth and success.